I'll actually get started. Welcome, everybody. Once again, we are together for Poetry Live. This time we are virtual, obviously, due to the pandemic. We've had to move to Zoom, but I think it's going to be a wonderful situation. Looks like we have a good number of people here. Yeah, so I just want to thank you all for showing up. As always, this is hosted by the Erie County Public Library. And yeah, this is hosted by the Erie County Public Library. It's recorded and will be posted online. I don't know if it's live tonight. I know there were some technical issues, but it will be posted online so people can still watch it. And in the future, it will be live. And yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing this go. The rules are going to be the same they always have been. Everybody will get a chance to read 2 poems. Once they are done, we'll have the next person go up. I think what we're going to do today, I think the easiest way to figure out who's going to go in which order is just, we can have the chat option. If everybody knows how to access that, it's just at the bottom. And you can just sort of type here or type next, and then we'll just go down that list. I'll see who's next, and then I'll invite you to speak, and then we'll kind of keep going. In some ways, this is going to be a lot less formal than what we do, and in other ways, it's going to be a little bit more structured, just so that we're not all talking over each other and we keep moving. But yeah, so like I said, everybody just make sure to keep your mics muted while the people are reading. And I think we'll get this going. I'm really excited. As usual, I suppose I will, since I have the mic, I'll start first. I think I'm only going to do 1 poem today because it's not like very long, but there's a lot of white space. I don't know how long it'll be to read. Yeah, and then I'll relinquish the mic. So this poem is called Astronaut, and it's for Neil Armstrong. I actually wrote this poem a long time ago after Neil Armstrong, right after he passed. And it's not, the astronaut in it isn't him, but it's sort of like imagining what it would be like to be an astronaut, imagining like this situation. So anyways, here we go. Astronaut. Alone on the moon, he holds a stone in one palm and smiles. It floats like snow right there and whispers. And after he bounced the lander, there's nothing left but to turn home, to climb the white ladder slowly and ignore the kiss of dust that escapes onto the metal, the grooves of his boots slipping on the last rung. After, there's only the deep blue descent and silence. Days later, at dinner, where his first sandwich falls face down, spicy mustard brown and yellow on his finger, his wife unfolds her napkin and wipes off the table. And the parades and the newspapers and the sky too blue to stop, except at night on his lawn, standing on the grass with a cigarette, where that plastic white disc looks man-made, as anything is man-made, and wants back the knowledge he was farther away than God. On Sunday, he threw his daughter up by the waist. She stayed suspended for a moment, laughter without air. Thank you. And I think that's my poem for today. And we're gonna go, who do we got? Looks like Nisi is next. So I'll mute myself and we'll keep on keeping on.
I thought I was ready, but okay, I think I'm ready now. I just gotta pull it up. Hi everyone, I missed everyone. And I really needed these nights. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So I needed these poetry nights because it's cathartic and you know, it helps. I know it helps a lot of you too, but it helps to get some of these thoughts out that you get on paper, especially during this time where we're all quarantined and we're all inside. So it's really nice. So I appreciate you guys doing this for us. I'm going to read one that I wrote a couple of weeks ago called The Precocious Cucumber. That's the only one I'm going to read tonight. It's kind of long. So, The Precocious Cucumber. My mother, my dear mother, she was given a cucumber when she was on the edge of 15. Yes, a cucumber. She was nervous. She was anxious. She never had a cucumber before. But she, smart, curious, afraid, naive, had seen them before and didn't have any quarrels with them. She wasn't sure quite what to do with this cucumber. Everyone gave their opinion on what she should do with it. What they would do and what they would do if they had one. She would just reply to them, well, frankly, I don't give a damn. There was so much pressure on her to do the right thing with this cucumber. She became so overwhelmed. She just needed some relief and some time to gather items to properly prepare this cucumber. She had ideas. She found a vinegar jar. She placed the cucumber inside of the vinegar jar with the intentions on coming back to check on it later. An adolescent with limited knowledge and faith in her decision. When she did come back to check on it, her beloved cucumber, the smell was so strong she decided to put a tight lid on it and revisit that cucumber later. Time passed, and through no fault of her own, she had forgotten to check on that cucumber. And when she realized her mistake, she frantically rushed to see, but there was only a pickle. She cried, "Where is my cucumber? It was here when I left it. Someone took my cucumber." She had refused to believe that she had pickled the cucumber, no matter how many people tried to convince her. "This is not my fault," she said. No one told me this could ever happen. How could I make a pickle?" She intended on making recipes. She had so many ideas for putting it on salads. She wanted to make sandwiches with the crusts cut off. "You can do all of that with this pickle," people said. And of course, they were the type of people who loved pickles. And without any maliciousness, my mother placed that jar with that pickle on a shelf. She walked past it every day, not knowing just what to do with it. And I, in my age, realized cucumbers are wonderful and healthy, but the grocery stores only have a small section where you will find them. They are similar and they are few. You must nurture them and use them right away because they will rot and decay. However, those same grocery stores, they have aisles dedicated to pickles. Some are kosher, some are dilled, some are speared and sliced. Child, there's so much you can do with a pickle. The lifespan of a pickle is so much longer. They are loved. They can be bitter. In fact, they are an acquired taste. That's it.
Thank you so much. That was great. Okay, so it looks like next we have Danny. Welcome to the stage.
Why, thank you. And Nisi, I happen to like pickles, so I'm going to tell you right now, that was a delicious poem. Thank you. Tonight, I have at the political poetry portion of the program brought to you 2 example poems of, well, first off, let me tell you that people ask me, what's the difference between political poetry and propaganda? And this is a question that I've had maybe 5 times in my life. But anyhow, I'm going to answer it one more time because I like answering. Basically, political poetry is poetry that uses art to expose truth. And propaganda is poetry that uses art to dilute the truth. Now tonight I got two poems about work written by two different people. One of them is a propaganda poem. The first one I'll read to you, and it's by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And you'll catch on real quick the way he sugarcoats the life of this worker into making us believe that he couldn't possibly need a union. And here we go. The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, and the muscles of his brawny arm are as strong as iron bands. His hair is crisp and black and long, his face is like a tan, his brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can. He and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellow blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sledge with measured beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. And children coming home from school, looking at the open door, they love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff on a threshing floor. He goes on Sunday, he goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like his mother's voice singing in paradise. Excuse me. Must think of her once more. Now in the grave she lies, and with his rough hand, he wiped a tear out of his eyes. Toiling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onward through life he goes. Each morning seems like some task begins, each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done, has earned a night's repose. Thanks to thee, my worthy friend, for the lessons thou hast taught. Thus at the flaming forge of life our fortunes must be wrought. Thus on its sounding anvil shaped each burning deed and thought. And that was propaganda from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The second one, thank you, I know, I can hear the roar. I appreciate it too. This second poem was written by a man who is a member of the Hotel Employees and Restaurant Employees Local 100, whose workers or whose members were workers at the Windows of the World restaurant and lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Center. And he has written his poem, and it's a Spanish word, alabanza, meaning praise. And so the poem is called, and his name is Martin Espada. And the poem is called Alabanza in Praise of Local 100. For the 43 members of the Hotel Employee and Restaurant Local 100 working at the Windows of the World restaurant who lost their lives in the attack on the World Trade Center. Alabanza praised the cook with the shaven head and a tattoo on his shoulder that said "Oi." His blue-eyed Puerto Rican with people from Florida, the harbor of pirates centuries ago. Praise the lighthouse Infajado candle. Praise the lighthouse Infajado, candle glimmering white to worship the dark saint of the sea. Alabanza, praise the cook's yellow pirate's cap, worn in the name of Roberto Clemente. His plane that flamed into the ocean loaded with canned for Nicaraguan, and for all the months chewing the ash of earthquakes. Alabanza, praise the kitchen radio dial, clicked even before the dial on the oven, so that the music and Spanish rose before the bread. Praise the bread, Alabanza. Praise Manhattan from the 107 flights up, like Atlantis glimpsed through the windows of an ancient aquarium. Praise the great windows where immigrants from the kitchen could squint and almost see their world. Hear the chant of nations: Ecuador, Mexico, Republican Dominica, Haiti, Yemen, Ghana, Bangladesh, Alabanza. Praise the kitchen in the morning, where the gas burned blue on every stove and exhaust fans fired their diminished propellers. Hands cracked eggs with quick thumbs or sliced open cottons to build an altar of cans. Alabanza, praise the busboy's music, the chime of his dishes and the silverware in the rug. Alabanza, praise the dish dog, the dishwasher, who worked the morning because another dishwasher could not stop coughing, or because he needed some overtime to pile on the sacks of rice and beans for a family floating away on some Caribbean island plagued by frogs. Alabanza praised the waitress who heard the radio in the kitchen and sang to herself about a man gone. Alabanza, after a thunder wilder than thunder, after a shudder deep in the glass of the great window, after the radio stopped singing like a tree full of terrified frogs, after night birthed a dam of day and flooded the kitchen. For a time the stoves glowed in darkness like the lighthouse in Fajardo, like the cook's soul. Soul, I say, even if the dead cannot tell us about the bristles of God's beard because God has no face. Soul, I say, to name the smoke being flung in constellations across the night sky from this city to city to come. Alabanza, I say, even if God has no face. Alabanza, when the war began from Manhattan and Kabul, two constellations of smoke rose and drifted to each other, mingling in the icy air. And one said in an Afghan tongue, "Teach me the dance, we have no music here." And the other said with a Spanish tongue, "I will teach you, music is all we have." And that was Alabanza for the members of a Praise to Local 100. And that was a political poem, talking about real life and the experiences in a way that was artistic. And a nice poem, even if I did screw it up. And thank you very much. I'm going to mute now.
Thank you, Danny. I hadn't heard that second poem before. That was really powerful.
It could be if it was read right.
Okay, so I think next we have Chuck Joy.
Thank you, Patrick. One thing I've noticed about Poetry Live Virtual is it has coffee. Yum. I'd like to read two poems, and my first one is not my own. As Danny read a couple of other people's poems, I have one here from Mary Oliver. This is from a collection from 1986 called Dream Work, and the poem is called The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. Thank you. That was Mary Oliver. For my second poem, I would like to read one of my own. This is a poem that started out in a magazine called Ratapalax and found its way into this collection, Said the Growling Dog. It's called Like Whiskey. Unaccomplished fiction and a vision of an underpass in Buffalo in the snow on the way to Mighty Taco, crazy music on the radio, and it was freezing. Not far away, somebody died that night. It wasn't you or me. And if it was, we would not have believed it. There wouldn't have been time between abusing love and utterly misunderstanding it. Still, we read a book and lyric sheets that looked like this in the glim of passing headlights or match light, and we thought things that kept us up all night. The cold poured in like whiskey when I rolled down the window, and we laughed like anything was possible, and it still might be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love that ending. Okay, let's move on to Todd next.
All right. Am I coming through? Cool. For a second I forgot that you guys are mic'd. All right. So I recently finished compiling a possible collection. So super excited, and I'm going to be reading two from that. These are kind of newer. So this one I wrote I think in the beginning of August, right around when I had to go to a hotel because they were fixing the siding and stuff and getting the lead out of the property. This poem is about trash day, and it's called Trash Day. Tell me about tomorrow, when the barrow rolls away all the dust and bones that are buried at the back of my desk drawer and at the bottom of my fridge. Reminisce with me about how almost a week ago those squeaky wheels wept up to the curb and the handlers used my waste as a tissue to feed an inconsolable beast. Just think, if it weren't for that wailing monstrosity, the dust would coagulate into fortifications, and the tomato from 3 months ago might have bred new life. It won't come any sooner, but I'm lining up for those gnashing gums to squish all of my troubles into a 2x2 cube. All right, yeah, that's Trash Day. And this one I wrote, I'm gonna say probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went on a reading spree and read a book about World War I. And at the end of the book on World War I, it said that the art movement of surrealism kind of came out as a direct reaction to World War I. So I went and I read the Surrealist Manifesto, which was a very difficult book. And it talked about automatic writing. And I realized that Doris was partly written in automatic writing. So this is a short poem written in that style. and it's called Lee. Stan bore the standard of a dreary march into the irregulatory movements of the day. The kerosene cleanup march, a brisket on rye. The supply seemed endless and inane. No stain in its lardy lapel, no room to mate, no spark to yell. Stan knew of only two things, the Talmud and herring. Bearing a pole and a book that dust shook itself off of, this duality fit him like a glove that, requiring 5 appendages, might be able to fit the whole human. All right, thank you.
Strange.
Thank you, Todd. Very good. Yeah, very interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have Mabel next.
Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to see you guys, and I'm more excited to see your whole face again. So it's like during Poetry Live, we all had like ongoing mug shots, so that was like our new look. But now everybody, you all look incredible, just to let you know. So I'm gonna share 2 poems tonight. One's a little longer than the other, okay? But my style's pretty short, so one from the past and one is brand new. So I'll start with a longer one. Accept me as I am, for I am a jewel. I am for others, and I want to be for you. As the clock goes tick-tock, I am thinking of ways to make you smile and brighten your days. You are magnificent, an uncrowned king, the bars to a song that I will one day sing. Everything about you is a perfect match. One day I'll admit you are the perfect catch. I fell for you long before our first touch, a little bit deeper when I touched your locks, which happened to wrap around my soul. To be embraced by you is so natural. I've heard you sing so many times, but when you sang to me, I was inspired to write these lines. I admire you in so many ways, mostly for making time for me in your day. You seem to have a gift for finding jewels. I have that same gift represented in finding you. Perhaps one day we'll agree to let our guards down and see what can become of soulmates that are meant to be. United like the 50 states, chosen by the one that gives grace. We flow together like rivers and seas, like seeds once planted, blossoming into trees. My heart is locked, it has been for years. When I think of you, it brings me tears of joy, because you have always been there. What others observe as far away, I feel as near. They see superficial because they haven't witnessed the deep. Love expressed by your actions strategically. We are antagonistic in a positive way. You are the triceps, I am the biceps, perfectly fit together, reach further than the sky. I used to believe the sky was the limit until I decided to become synergistic with you. Thank you, guys. So, actually, I want to share a story about the background of the first time I shared that poem. Is actually the first time I shared something publicly was I saw Chuck Joy at Starbucks, and I said, will you take a moment to listen to a poem I've been working on? Like, I really would like to share, but I feel as if I need to share with you first. So he took a moment to listen, and I felt like from this day on, I will share my so thank you, Chuck. My next one is very short and sweet and memorable, so maybe you'll remember it and share it with someone else. So, love at first sight. Can we freeze this moment in time and then come back and revisit it over and over again? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mabel.
I like that, Mabel.
Okay. So it does look like we still have plenty of time. Michelle, would you like to read tonight?
Mm, sure, I can read. I
Yeah.
have a poem. I have a poem that I wanted to read. It's not mine. It's been one of those weeks where been a lot of sadness and death, and I just thought, well, I'll read one of my favorite poems. I usually only read happy things, but this is one of my favorite by W.H. Auden. I'm sure you all know it. It's called Funeral Blues. And this is how I'm kind of feeling. Lost my dog this week. A good friend of mine died. It's been kind of a sad week. So anyway, Funeral Blues by W.H. Auden. Stop all the clocks. Cut off the telephone. Prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the piano and the muffled drum. Bring out the coffin, let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle moaning ahead, scribbling on the sky the message he is dead. Put crepe boughs round the wide of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and Sunday rest. My noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood. For nothing good ever could come to any good. That's it. That's all I wanted to share was that one tonight.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'm sorry to hear about your dog.
Yeah. I know, it was really sad.
It sounds like it. I'm
It's
so
a tough
sorry.
week.
Well, is there anybody else?
But we have poetry.
To poetry. We do. We have it, and it's always there for us.
Right.
Is there anybody else that hasn't had a chance to read yet? I know we had a latecomer. I don't know if they wanted to read or just listen. I did mute you just because you had some background noise coming, Israel. So you have to unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. But you're free to read too before we move on.
Hi. When I have something prepared, I promise I will actually do it. This is my first day, so I just wanted to have a feel for actually what is tonight, and I'm liking it. So I probably will be reading for you guys next week.
Oh, no worries. We're happy to have you here, even if you just want to listen, no matter what.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, then. I think that's everybody then. So I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It's definitely not quite the same as doing it in person, but it's still great just to see you all and to hear all of your poetry and the poetry you bring to us. Honestly, we had sort of discovered that it's been 4 weeks since last time earlier, and that's hard to believe, but it also feels like it's been that long. So I'm very happy to have you all here.
Could we look to the future real quick before you sign us off? Like
Yes,
next week looks
absolutely.
good, and then when do you think we'll be back after that?
So because we moved to Tuesday, we're just going to keep moseying on. We don't have a break in sight.
Nice.
Yep. So of course we are getting to like the holiday season. So if anybody can't make it or whatever, that's 100% legit. But because Tuesday is sort of far enough away from all the days, I'll be working, and I'd love to see y'all. Yeah. So again, it was wonderful. If anybody has any questions for me, one, we can stay on for a couple minutes, but two, you can always feel free to email me. We're going to keep doing this for the foreseeable future until it's safe enough to do it in person again. And no matter what, I look forward to seeing you all again next week. So y'all take it.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, it's been wonderful.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Patrick.
Bye, everyone.
Thank